Hey guys, wanted to share two awesome eBay finds. One of the greatest tricks in life I figured out is that whenever anything's crazy going on in the world, get on eBay. And in this case, the presidential debates, I got on eBay and I cleaned up with some awesome vintage gear. First of all, I got these, which are these Colonial USA high carbon steel knife blanks. They're not sharpened. I was a little worried when I bought them that they were going to be unhardened and it was going to be, I'd probably have to send them out somewhere for heat treat. Not the case. These are actually hardened steel. I took a file to them and the file skates off them, so they are hardened steel. So it looks like I just have to grind an edge onto them. These are of course a full flat grind. Looks like almost like a spear point, maybe a drop point blade. Looks like a 3/4 tang on it. Very thin, so these will probably just be like a Skinner or maybe a small like carving bushcraft kind of knife. Paid $9 a piece for these, and I did get two of them. So basically I'm going to be able to make myself two very nice little kind of bushcraft hunting style knives for probably about $10. If I use wood from here on the house and buy some brass pins, to run through the handle there, I could probably do these relatively cheap. And that's awesome. I was really surprised. I did not think they were going to be hardened steel. I thought they were going to be soft. I know many of the old blade blanks you find on eBay are not hardened, so you have to send them off for heat treat. Hey, one of the other things I was concerned about with those, now that I'm thinking about it, was these may be fake. I've been looking. I cannot find any old vintage Colonial knives in this style. So these may be a cheap blank that somebody put a Colonial stamp on and is selling. It's a possibility. On eBay, you're always possibility of getting scammed. I did look at the font, and the Colonial font does look like the original Colonial font, but I just can't find any knives like this. But you never know. This could have been something that was a prototype sitting in a drawer, and a lot of times when these knife companies die, they auction off all their stuff, and one of the things you'll see often is you go online and you'll see tons of stuff from Schrade and Camillus from when the factories closed. People bought out thousands of knife blanks and handle materials and all that, and have been selling them off for years now. So there is the possibility this is something that somebody bought a pallet of and has been sitting on. It's also a possibility it's a fake. It's also a possibility that some new Colonial knife company decided to make a really cheap, crappy knife. But based on the fact that I ran a file over it and the file skated over the steel, it does seem to be pretty good, hard carbon steel, so I think they're going to turn into good knives. We'll do an update on that when they're done. It's not I'm going to tackle right away. Probably once the snow flies, that's something I'll tackle. But for now, I got them. I'm going to sit on them. Number two are these small fishing knives. Got 9 of these for $14. So you're talking literally like about $1.50 a piece. I picked these up because they're stamped high carbon steel USA. I do remember seeing these when I was a kid. I remember seeing these in like tackle shops and things like that. I feel like they were like $1.50. They weren't expensive. They've got a very cheap plastic handle to them, and you can see they're it looks like it's a full tang knife, so it's probably just glued in there, and then these little pins, they're almost rivets maybe. Yeah, they're probably rivets. It's riveted all together, so it's a really cheap handle, very thin. These things are very thin and flexy. These things are meant to be bait knives, not anything else. You got the can opener on the back, the fish scaler, and it's got, believe it or not, which is pretty much a Scandi grind with a little tiny micro bevel. You can catch that light on the micro bevel there on the end, but guess what? I'm getting rid of that micro bevel. I'm going to bring this thing into a true Scandi grind and touch these things up and see how they work. If I remember a lot of people having these as a kid. I feel like they were cheap, bait shop knives that you got for like $1.50. They would always be in like a can. They'd be in like a coffee can by the cash register, just cheap. There'd always be like 5 guys who had them all over their tackle boxes. I feel like we had them in Boy Scouts maybe as well. It's okay sharp. It will cut, but it's not, it's not going to shave hair. It's not going to cut, slice paper or anything like that. But I think these things are really cool for the money. I think they're going to make very good little project knives. I think they're going to do very good in survival kits. They're going to do very good in bug out bags. They're very small. They're very lightweight. These things weigh like literally next to nothing because it's a very soft, Very soft plastic handle. So you're not going to do hard work. You're not going to baton with this. You're not going to do that. But I think being they're carbon steel, they're going to take a wicked edge. And being they are such thin blade stock, they're going to be super sharp, take a super edge. And these are something you can use for cleaning fish, skinning game, you know, a dedicated extra backup knife just for that purpose. Oftentimes I see like bug out bags and people got like, oh, I'm bringing a BK9. Okay, that's great, but that's really kind of a big knife to be, you know, processing small game with. So I think these are a really good opportunity for me to kind of fill out some of my survival kits with a smaller, very lightweight knife that will do well. I think being it's so thin, it's going to be very easy to sharpen. It's going to be very easy to take care of. It's carbon steel, so it'll sharpen easy, wicked edge, and if I remember right, these things were pretty handy and pretty tough. I think I remember the handles breaking a lot on these. You always see these with broken handles. But if one breaks, you know, I'll always just slap a little wood handle on it and see how it goes from there, you know. We'll try it out. We'll see. I'll try and break one. And if we do, once again, if one breaks and we do make a custom handle for it, we will update. But you can see there is that almost like a Scandi edge with just that tiniest bit of a bevel on the end. It is almost unnoticeable. I have to look. Actually, yeah. Whoa, wouldn't you believe it? I have a magnifying glass right here. You can see there's almost no, and that really might even be a burr as opposed to a micro bevel. There you can see it. Yeah, there is a micro bevel there. You can see that light coming off of it. But yeah, so we're going to try and take that away. Once again, that could be a sharpening issue as opposed to an actual intentional micro bevel. But yeah, 9 of these bad boys for like 14 bucks. 2 of these bad boys for like 17. These things are going to be very welcome addition, guys. And like I said, anytime bad news happens in the world, anytime something big happens, presidential debates, elections, even celebrity dying, it's a great time to get on eBay. And you can find little things like these. Oftentimes I do searches for things like vintage knife, vintage gear, vintage camping gear, vintage hunting gear, vintage hunting knife, old knife, antique knife, things like that. In this case, I think my search was vintage carbon steel knife, and these two things came up, and I snagged them both. And literally, I was the only bidder on both items. So I think, you know, being the debates were on, people weren't paying attention, and these slipped through. So cool finds, very happy, and I think they're going to be very good little additions for next to nothing, and proof positive that you don't need a lot of money to be a very successful bushcrafter, camper, hiker, outdoorsman, prepper, or whatever.